Hello, hello. All right. I don't need to hear that. Thanks, Tom. Let's mute that. Audio working. Check, 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 check. What's up, Kevin K? I wasn't trying to beat up on you earlier today. I just hate to say it, man. And like I've been there, I've done it. It sucks. I feel for you. It is super painful. Um, and yeah, so I mean, it's like a tough love thing. Like, come on, wise up. Because deep down, you know better, right? You know after a $3,000 day, you should not lose $2,800 or whatever it was, right? Like, I don't think anybody who's been doing this for any amount of time would dispute that. You just can't let that happen. So, I wish somebody, was more direct with me and just said, "Look, stop." And actually they were. I mean, I've talked about my drug abuse history, and I had people in my life that were like, "Bro, stop doing the stupid shit. That's how you're gonna fix your life. Like, stop being a dummy, basically, in a loving, caring way." But yeah, I'd call people, I'd reach out, I'd be like, I hate my life, everything sucks, man, wah wah. And my buddy was like, I'm gonna say this one more time, and then I'm gonna record it, and every time you call, I'm gonna play the same thing back to you. Stop making the same stupid mistakes, right? Stop picking up whatever I was picking up at the time in the first place. And you won't deal with those problems. You'll deal with other problems, but it won't be these ones. So that's where I'm coming from. It's really I don't like to see other I hate to see the struggle because there are some easy solutions, and for me it was putting in a personal daily loss limit and keeping my red days smaller than my green days, and that was like that got rid of that like improved my trading by like 50%. So Uh, I feel like sometimes I get a lot of DMs from people and it's like the same stuff like, "Oh, I'm not trading well. I'm doing this, I'm doing that." I'm like, "Well, what are you doing different?" Right? Because nothing is going to change unless you make some changes. If you're taking the same entries and still getting smashed in the teeth, but you're not doing anything different, then I don't know, man. There's only so much I can point out about how the markets move, right? You gotta either adjust your stop, you need to scale down, you need to scale up, size down, size up. Ideally, maybe write down what you've done the last week or two, and then skim through it on the weekend and say, okay, well, I this trade worked, but I stopped out. Day two, this trade worked, but I stopped out. Day three, trade didn't work. All right, day four, trade worked. I stopped out. Well, you can identify that you've got an issue with your stop. Maybe you're trading too tight. The position sizing is stressing you out, but you have some empirical evidence that thing of what is going on with your trading. And so the part that drives me crazy is look, the part that drives me crazy is when I see the same things over and over. And the flip side of that is I can relate because I've done that stuff. It took me 5 6 months and over probably $20,000 in prop money that I've spent to get a $5,500 payout. So I'm still in the hole, but I did good in January. February is not going great. Yesterday I stopped out on 3 XFAs, hit max loss. Let me get rid of this little thing here and start kind of charting my stuff. But yeah, I've been there. I mean, I know what the struggle looks like, and so all I'm trying to do is hopefully save somebody else from going through the same shit that I went through. That's why I do this. It's for me, and it's to hopefully help somebody else. I do it for definitely for selfish reasons. Trading live keeps me accountable. I manage my positions better. I'm not so button pressy. But I feel like I've got a lot to offer after having done this for 4 years that can hopefully help others avoid some of these stupid mistakes. And a lot of them, there's nothing I can do. At some point, you will get your ass kicked enough, and you will say, "I okay, I don't like how this is going. Right? I don't like this feeling. I don't like blowing XFAs. I don't like having to reset combines. I don't like it." And then you decide to do something different or you don't, and then you continue to struggle, and then at some point you get beat down enough. Like that's really what it's all about. It's and what I was told when I was in recovery was you know you can get off the elevator at any floor, right? You don't have to. It doesn't have to go to ground level. 10 floors underground. You could just decide to get off at any point, meaning you don't have to suffer, right? You can stop the suffering if you just get off the elevator and say, okay, this is where I'm going to get off, right? I don't want to go to rock bottom. I want to get off here where I'm, kind of maybe making some good decisions. I'm kind of struggling, but like this is where I want to end it. This is where I'm going to make the changes necessary to improve my trading. And so that just always sticks with me. And I learned a lot from, just going through what I went through in my life, and in as far as it relates to trading. So that's why I live stream. Like I'm not out here. I don't claim to be the best trader. I'm not out here. If you want to see somebody put up like 15 minis or whatever, that's not me. If anybody's new, I trade the Strat by Rob Smith. I typically will start with a 3 micro starter position and then scale up to could be up to 2 minis usually. That hasn't happened recently because the market's just not been great during this time of day, but I'm mostly just sharing my trading experience and hoping to help some people who are struggling, not in the same place that I or where I was maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago or 4 years ago when I was very new, still learning, didn't understand about CPI and PPI and FOMC and PAL speaking and any all this other stuff that comes into play. So yeah, I mean, if you're looking for somebody putting up 30, 40 grand, uh, not going to do it. I think my best day was 5,400. check, 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 check. It's gonna drive me crazy, guys. Apologies. I will get that figured. I will take a look at that later tonight for sure. Let me see if I can turn on notifications so that when I get pinged, I check chat quicker. Laz, yeah, I'll take a look at Bitcoin in a sec. MEI, thank you for the heads up. T. Rosal. Uh, let me just keep an eye on what's going on here for a minute. I actually prefer a little bit of a pullback here before, like a re-trigger of this would be better because it doesn't look as bad on this, but like on a see how many points this is. If this is like my, no, it's not terrible, but I don't want to see just a string of higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low trigger, and just you expect a little corrective activity at some point. So I would actually prefer to see this pull back now and then re-trigger. Really just care about the daily at this point, so that's all I'm going to use here on this layout. And this high at 968. I've been looking for 968 to get tagged all week and it just has not happened yet. But I think that's where we get to. We'll see. I think we've got numbers tomorrow too. Beep boop. Mic check. Mic check. All right. We're good. Sucks because I think I was rambling on about some good stuff related to trading psychology, but I'm sure it'll pop back in my head. We talk about a lot of the same stuff over and over because we have the same problems. If you guys are like me, we make the same stupid mistakes over and over. And it's, at some point we get tired of it and we do things differently. Like, all right, enough of that. So, outside bar on the 5 minute. Take a look at the 15. Failed two up, failed two up, failed two up on the 15, 30, 60. Should not be a surprise because we've not decoupled yet. So, all of these three candles are the same. Same with the 4 hour. It was quite a recovery today. Not gonna lie. The one trade that I was upset that I missed, and it's that my dog. I'm gonna blame her. This is not the right chart. It was on the 30. I wasn't really prepared for the open. I got in a little late, and I missed this little kind of two down green hammer like candle. I would have taken a shot at this, and this was good for I think 130, 135. So even if I got half of that, you know, would have been a nice one and done. It really didn't matter though because I didn't have funded accounts to trade. So like, I would have made that money in a combine, which is not nearly, I just don't. care about those a whole lot. I mean, it's nice to get them passed so I get an XFA, but I need like real money that I can withdraw for it to matter a whole lot. But that was a good trade, and then there were some other these little pullbacks here, right? If you're kind of a dip buyer, right here, another one right here, this reversal, little 3 bar. Now this is, a red. This is like I would, when these are green, like then I'm all in, just like over here, like we had on the 30 minute. But it's worth taking a shot at these. You got higher low, higher low, higher low, kind of held right here, higher low. I just kind of fumbled it this morning, and it was because I actually didn't get up until like quarter after 9, which is really late for me. I'm usually Zoe wakes me up at about 8:30. So I've got some time, New York pre-market, to take a look at charts and kind of game plan, and that didn't happen today. Take a little starter position. We got a 3-2-2 on the 5 minute. Maybe to get the day going. Take a stab at it. A little late, like on the not too a little late on the entry. Not terrible, but could have been better. What I'm gonna try and do is build a position for an overnight hold to hit 22K. That's kind of my game plan. And if that doesn't, things kind of change or never know how the market's gonna play out. If things start to get ugly or sellers show up, then I'll kind of adjust my game plan. But like right now, that's what I'm hoping for. Ismail, yeah, sound must have cut out. I hope it's fixed. You should be able to hear it now. Looks like we're good. Let me skim through chat here real quick. See what's what. A lot of hellos. Hey guys. Take a look at Bitcoin. Let me pull up Bitcoin on my other chart here so I can keep this trade up. I get stopped out here. Bitcoin looks like it's trying to go outside day. I was looking at it earlier. We've got a very clear broadening formation. I'll switch over to it in a sec. Only 46 minutes left in the candle, but earlier today I was expecting it to go outside day. We're not quite there yet. If I get stopped out of this. Let me go back to NQ here. Yeah. Tag. Maybe stop a little too tight on that, honestly. Not really. I mean, I'm looking at the 5 minute. I really don't want it to pull back too much further. So I'm just going to chill, keep an eye on that because we got these failed 2 ups. If this starts to kind of, I feel like my stop was just a tiny bit too tight. Uh, Let me check out Bitcoin real quick. So Bitcoin, actually, the daily is pretty good chart to look at. We've basically been stuck inside of this big mother bar here. Hey, stop it. So stuck inside of this range, and it's been pretty choppy. But you can see, whoops, just gonna draw this out with this really quick. We've got, nope, we've got this and we've got this going on. So I would expect this, if this doesn't go outside day in the next 40 some minutes, which, may or may not happen, I would expect this high to get broken and then take out this candle here. I'm staying long. I'm long Bitcoin. I've been long since 77K. I've got a sizable position. I have no plans on exiting unless we get down like, if we price pulls back like in this area, then I'll consider closing. Pretty much I'm pretty much willing to like ride it break even. So I've got a lot of wiggle room. These little dips here have not shaken me out, and Bitcoin has held up relatively well compared to a lot of the other crypto out there. A lot of the shit coins, the jail stool, Dave Portnoy's coin, Whiff, some of the like Pepe. Let me look on my list here. Crypto's actually doing really well today. This is the first time I've taken a look at it, but there's just a lot of green over here. On the right, you can see lots of green. Ethereum is up a good bit, which makes me happy. I've got an FETH position that was down a bit. Must have been some kind of news. Yeah, crypto. When crypto is up, I expect the market to kind of also follow crypto as more of a risk on type asset. So could also be some of the macro stuff with the inflation numbers that came out earlier today. I don't really know. That's not my area of expertise. I just try and focus on the charts. I like to keep it simple. I'm going to be really picky about this next trade that I take. And I'm not sure what that's going to look like here because we don't have any setups really on any time frames except the smaller. I just barely got tagged out. I would still like to have been in this, but we'll see what happens. Wait until there's clear sign of buyers and the day is in force, and then I'll probably hop back in. But I don't see anything right this second aside from just the like a 5 minute 4 bar play, or I mean the 15 minute is inside. We got failed two up on the 30-60. So it's just not like what I want to be jumping into at this point. We get back to green on the day and re-trigger. That's where I'll probably, that's where I would make another attempt. If we flip the day green, I'll take another shot at it. I was in a really good position last night. After I got off the live stream, I was convinced buyers were going to continue pushing up, and they just didn't. And I was over leveraged and had too wide of a stop, which I'd never do. I just don't have super wide stops. I'd rather stop out small red and then get back in, and I just didn't. I was like, letting it pull back, and then it was clear that we were not going to get a reversal. It wasn't, just a little bit of corrective activity. And so that kind of put a damper on things last night. And then I was the rest of the night was trying to dig myself out of that hole. Did kind of make a little wiggle room for myself, but it just wasn't enough. I mean, I was down like actually I had like $20 to draw. I was like down 320, 330. I had like $20 to work with, and I managed to get myself down to like 220. I was able to get like another $100 to draw down, and then I just, I should have taken a break and regrouped. I just didn't. And those are the things that are going to happen as a trader. I've learned a lot about myself and what I can and can't do, the way that I should approach things. If I dig myself out of a hole a little bit, probably best to take a break, reevaluate, refocus, and wait for another good setup, not just trade the smaller time frames, which is what I was doing last night. Was definitely more into the scalping mindset instead of holding for 20 or 30 points. 15 trying to break bear. Pretty dull so far. See what the range looks like here. Yeah, we had 20 points. I mean, it is only 21 minutes into Globex, so it's not like super shocking. Laz, sorry, I did see your message earlier. Are you still here? Yeah. How do I manage or deal with a trade in this scenario? Looking just from the 240, a 2-2 bullish continuation. All right, let me finish reading first. Looking for an entry on a 15. I mean, you don't want to trade a 2-2 continuation. Just don't trade it. I spot a 2-1-2 continuation, but it always seems to pull back, turning the candle from green to red and hitting my. Yeah, just don't. You don't want to trade continuations. It's like the least high probability setup. That's why I'm not being super aggressive here. I took one shot and then I said I'm going to be very patient because everything is a continuation except the day where we've got a rev strap, but it's 12 hour, 4 hour, 60, 30, 15. It would just all be continuation trades. We're waiting for ideally a little bit, corrective activity and then move back into the direction of time frame continuity. So that's my suggestion. Top striker, I feel like trading futures is harder than options. I disagree. I mean, options you don't have to. Options you got to deal with implied volatility. You got theta. You got a strike. Futures you're just buying long or short. What do you think is harder about trading futures? Let me ask you that question. I think futures are infinitely easier. When you say harder, give me some context. In what way? XRP. I mean, let's look at the charts here. I did see that BlackRock, I think ETF something something something. We're just stuck sideways. XRP is right here. This is just again. I mean, we're stuck inside of this mother bar, right? We're in this tight little range here inside of this bigger mother bar. So inside week. If we break the high of last week, then we could get something going. But I'm not. I've been keeping an eye on it. It's definitely been worth trading. Look at this daily chart. I mean, there's been plenty of just massive moves here to kind of take advantage of. And we've got a little, whoops, I need to stop doing that. Got a little Hey, little broadening formation kind of thing going on here. But we're just stuck in this chop here and have been for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, I think. If I'm counting correctly. Really more. I know Alex has mentioned XRP for like long term. I mean, maybe not. Bitcoin's not going anywhere. That much I know, and I'm fairly confident Ethereum isn't going anywhere. So those are the two. If I was like a long term holder, those are the ones I'm holding. Now, long term Ethereum holders have been rewarded, but you had to sit through. I mean, the last kind of pot we dumped back in May 20, you've been holding on to this thing for 3 years of it doing not really anything. Little pop here, but so I mean, if you're gonna get into it and just hope that it keeps heading up, I just try and focus on the charts, right? I don't care about the story. How many crypto coins were going to be like the next banking transactional kind of whatever. If you look through history, half of the coin, probably 90% of the coins that were trading in 2017, except for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and maybe Litecoin, are you wouldn't even recognize them. They're not even trading anymore. So like I'm fine holding some Bitcoin, some Ethereum for swing positions. Historically, they just go up, especially Bitcoin. Even with significant pullbacks, it rebounds and continues to grind higher. Top striker, not gonna lie, I traded futures once, didn't know what I was doing, still made 2K. I didn't really watch any videos about futures or anything, but based on what you're doing right now, it just looks hard. Are you a strat trader? Are you just hanging out? I mean, I know it's a strat Discord. What looks hard about it? All I'm doing is looking for strat setups and going long or short. Maybe jumping around between some screens is a little confusing. I don't know. Tell me what you're dealing with, so I get a better idea of maybe I need to adjust my style a little bit or explain things differently. Oh, ICT? No, no ICT. You see the on the daily chart here on NQ, right? I'll break it down really simple for you. Right, what do we have here? We have an inside bar, right? Inside bar followed by a green two down. So that is a rev strat. We're looking for this to trigger over this candle's high. So I want to get long and target this. I want to target this. I want to target this. So that's it. That's all I'm looking for. And then I'm looking for a setup on a smaller time frame to get me in here. An earlier entry into this. So I just marked the daily high, and that is what's marked right here. This is a 4 hour daily high. I took a shot at this little pullback, right? Try to get in on triggering the day up, and it's just we're not getting there. It's just sideways. So all I'm gonna do is look for a setup on a 15, a 30, a 60, a 4 hour, 12 hour to get me into this. So that's pretty much it. The problem is, as I mentioned earlier, is all of those time frames, The 15, the 30, the 60, the 4 hour, right? This right here. What do we got? Oh, this is a 30. A two up, a two up. If we go another two up, continuation. Here's the hourly. We got an inside bar, a two up. If we break this to the upside, we got another two up. It's just continuation. 4 hour inside bar, a two up. If we break this, we got another two up. It's continuation. We don't want to be entering on continuation. We want to wait for corrective activity, a little bit of a pullback, and then a setup that gets us back into that higher time frame setup. Does that make sense? Yeah, I mean ICT for me, it's there's just way too. The only thing I use out of ICT is, and it's not even really an ICT concept. It's a volume profile concept. Is a fair value gap or a single print, basically a little imbalance. And the only time I do that is if there's no clear strat setup in the area. Like I did see. Let me see if I can find. So somebody sent me. Let's look at the 30. I think it was a 30. All right, so somebody shared with me a chart and they took an entry on this, right, which is fine. Good entry at two down green. Boom. You get in here. But they're looking for a target up here, which, yes, you eventually got, but it was not, it's not going to happen in this candle. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, we have a big three. We get a 3-2-2. We're heading all the way back up here. It's just not realistic. So I'll look for, you know, there's a huge fair value gap here. So this isn't the best example. But I'll do something like, let's say I was going to mark this level down to like here. And so maybe this strat target is just not reasonable, right? It just doesn't make it's not going to happen, right? The only reason we got this huge dump was because of news. A lot of people stopped out. So I'll maybe like, usually there's not going to be this big of a gap, but I'll look and say, hey, is this a better target up here or the middle of this fair value gap than all the way up here? But that's the only thing I use. I think ICT has overcomplicated the hell out of things. But, some people it works for them. It works. That's awesome. For me, it's just there's a lot. It's too much gobbledygook, right? Busy, SIMI, PO3, SSL, BSL. It's just acronym after FVG, IFVG. What else? I don't know. I don't know that many ICT terms, but so like here on the 15, we got a little corrective activity, right? A little bit of a pullback. We got an inside bar. If we break this bull, what's going to happen? We are going to then trigger the day up on our way to this target. I think this should be the day. Yeah, it's the day. So that's what we're looking for. We're like, hey, let me find a setup on a smaller time frame that triggers or reconfirms a higher time frame setup. And that's it. I'm looking for that's why I focus on the 4 hour, the 12 hour, the day. I want a setup on those time frames to be my, the bigger bias. And then I'm gonna take a small little starter here because it's small risk. Um, looking for a setup on a smaller time frame that reconfirms or triggers a higher time frame setup, and then just holding for the higher time frame setup target. Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't make sense, let me know. Don't just be a yes guy. Like, yeah, yeah, that's I get you, and then not get me. Because all we got to do here, I got plenty of time. We're only 34 minutes into trading. I'm usually here for the first hourly flip. So if something's confusing, let's talk about it. It's will probably help somebody else who's too shy to raise their hand and say, "Hey, I'm not sure what's going on here." One thing to keep in mind too for anybody who's new, if you're looking at the way that Sarah or Alex trades or anybody else on Twitter, you really don't know. I mean, I know Sarah's been trading I think since 2017, right? Alex, I'm not 100% sure, but he's been trading for several years. You can't compare yourself to somebody who's been doing this for two, three, four, 5 times as long as you have. You just can't. It's not a fair comparison. Like if I were to hand you a guitar today and say, "Hey, I need you to play like Eddie Vedder or Eddie Van Halen or some legendary guitar player," you'd be like, it would be embarrassing. You just wouldn't even try. You wouldn't even think like you're on that level. Yet when it comes to trading and we're just pushing buttons, you're like, well, why can't I push the buttons and make the same amount of money? What am I missing? What you're missing is a lot of hours staring at this shit. Basically, that's what it comes down to. Seeing the same things over and over and over and over and over. And me as a detail oriented kind of guy, pay attention to details. I notice, the patterns. I kind of came up with a 100 point rule on NQ. So after a 100 point move, it could be 80 points, it could be 120 points, but roughly 100 points. I look for it to either pause or slight reversal, right? Kind of like that's what I've seen over and over and over, and I just use it as a basic guideline. Like I'm not going to get long if we've already run 100 points. If I miss it, fine, but I'm going to wait for some kind of pullback corrective activity. And that's just me seeing this play out over and over. And I'm like, hey, we ran 95 points and we're pulling back. We ran 105 points and we're pulling back. Or we dumped 105 points, and we're getting a little bit of a bounce. And the only way I would recognize that is having looked at these charts and measured like how far is the move, done a little experimentation, that sort of thing. So don't even for me, like I just try and compare myself to where I was a year or two ago. And when I first started, I was happy with any green, right? If I made $10, $20, I was thrilled, right? And then over time, as you get better, you start to size up, the gains increase. And so when I see people on Twitter who were in the same trade as I was and they made 8 grand, right? And I'm up like 1,500, I start to get irritated because, I want to be up 8 grand. I was in the same trade. Why am I not up 8 grand? Well, they were either sized up, uh, they have more experience or potentially just got lucky, but I can't look at what somebody else is doing and judge myself. I have to say, where was I a month ago? Where was I 6 months ago? Where was I a year ago? Where was I 2 years ago? How does that compare to when I first started? It's gradual improvements over a long period of time. So I think it's like really important thing to keep in mind. A lot of the people that I try and help who DM me regularly about like they're kind of like trading buddies, right? They're either struggling or maybe they caught a good trade, they want to share it. I keep my DMs open, and some when I share like the trade that I took, sometimes I feel bad because they're asking me like, how did you do today? So I'll post a trade that I took, and they're like, I had a shitty red day, blah blah blah, and I kind of feel guilty, like, I'm not trying to like push it in front of somebody's face and saying like, ha ha. So that's why I think it's important not to get caught up in what somebody else is doing, right? You got to compare you to you. This is a me versus me game. I'm not, there's nobody else clicking buttons, nobody else looking at charts. At the end of the day, it's me and my emotions and my psychology trading against myself. Laz, how soon do I move my stop to break even? I like to get like 10, 15 points usually. Still doing a little bit of experimentation with that, but it depends on the session. During New York, it's much more. Could be 20 or 30 points during overnight markets. You know, I was moving like after about 10 points, 12 points, but I've slowed down a little bit and just given the trade a little more room to play out. Like, you don't need huge size. Like I told you guys in the beginning, I'm not here trying to trade two, three minis. That's just not me. At some point in the future, I'll scale up. But I'm gonna enter my three position starter. I would like to add here, but I'm not going to add just after this kind of little run up. Would maybe wait for another retrigger and then I'll add to my position. And if it just keeps going, fine. I'll just wait for, if this keeps going up here, right? Triggers of the day. Maybe it comes back and back tests the trigger, the daily trigger. I'll add here. Or if this just keeps pushing up, a little bit of a pullback, move higher. I'll find some place to get in with more size. But I'm copy trading 5 accounts, so $50, 250 bucks. 60 times 5, 300. 70 times 5, 350. Or is that 350? Gotta be right. 70 times 5. Yeah, I thought my brain was kind of fogging up there. Maybe the last bit of math I did was not right. Something seemed off there, but you don't need like huge position sizing. Get in because I would rather look like I got a 1-to-1 RR right now, so I was risking 52. I'm up 57, so this is a 1-to-1 risk return. Usually I'm looking for like 2, 3, 4 or more, but I'd rather stop out, $52 than a mini, which would be $200. I'd rather add to the winner, let the winner run, slowly scale into it, add a micro here and there, and then once the trade really gets going, because I'm looking for 22K or at least 21,968, which would be over $600 in this trade times 5 accounts, 3 grand. That's pretty good. Who is the admin for option trading, and do they stream in Discord as well? Um, what do you mean? Alex and Sarah are options traders. They trade options. They stream in Discord under premium. I'm just like the kind of hangout guy, focused on futures, been trading futures, like the slower markets, usually sitting in front of the computer when Globex opens at 6 p.m. Eastern, just sharing my shit, just putting it out there. Good, bad, ugly, my wins, my losses, how I trade, where I put my stops. Maybe it helps somebody, maybe it doesn't, but I enjoy it. It's entertaining. It's less lonely than just sitting here staring at a screen by myself. And I get to talk about a lot of trading psychology stuff that I struggle with and share that with you guys and hopefully get some feedback and we get to talk about some things. But if you want like the real deal, um Alex does an amazing job of covering the entire market. I mean, he picks apart the sectors, the stocks within the sectors. It's it reminds me of myself when I was his age. I'm 46, he's 21, 2, and that's how I was. I just had a brain. It would, anything you told me, I just remembered it. Just went into the vault, and he's good at knowing all the tickers that are part of XLE or XLF or XLV, and you get the whole breakdown. And he also he's always watching futures. So if you haven't experienced that, wow, what a move! So now I'm gonna break even, risk free, and I will look for opportunities to add. I mean, I missed this, this break here. Just Wasn't comfortable adding. Would have been, in hindsight, would have loved to have added there. But I mean, I'm up 150 times 5 accounts. So I'm not gonna, you don't need to trade up. Don't get sucked into thinking you need to trade a mini or two. You really don't. Can you make more money? Yes, but you can also get your ass handed to you. You get smacked right in the teeth. And especially because I'm looking for this to play out overnight, if this gets up to my target, that'll be a nice chunk of change. See what else we got on the higher time frames. So the other thing I'm looking at here, if you guys have followed along, I'm a big fan of the 12-hour time frame, and also I like outside bar breaks with full time frame continuity. So this is a broadening formation on a smaller time frame, and we are expanding. So I look for the quick push up, the expansion outside of this range. I really only like these with full time frame continuity, right? The quarter, the month, the week, the day, everything is green, bright green. I like to see a break and just continuation in the direction of time frame continuity. But other than that, it's really just I'm looking at the daily setup, the rev strat on the day right here, and I want to push through all of these pivots. I want to see 968. So we'll see what happens here. But risk-free trade is a great place to be. If you can get in a trade and get your your stop to break even if the trade doesn't work, you're not going to lose anything. And the name of the game is to not lose money. Before making money, before anything else, manage risk, not lose money. Like if I stop out, I stop out. Fine. I'll take another shot later. But when it works, I'm going to cash in on it. I'm going to capitalize. Top Step is amazing. I get no money for referring, people over to Top Step. They don't pay me anything. They don't have an affiliate program. I've done a lot of homework and compared different prop firms, and I would not be trading on Top Step if I thought they were not going to pay me or that there was some shady shenanigans going on. Like that's really what it comes down to. There are plenty of other firms you can trade with. Some of them are legit, like MFFU, my funded futures, I hear is good. They do have a consistency rule on their funded accounts on some of their plans. Tradeify is another company I would consider, but again, they have like a 30% consistency rule. You can do some homework on ChatGPT and ask how the consistency rule works, but basically your best day can't be more than 30% of your total profits on Tradeify, for example. So let's say you have a $200 day, a $200 day, a $200 day, a $3,000 day. You need to make enough money so that your $3,000 day is only 30% of your profits, meaning you've really got to make like $9,000 now. Top Step, you don't have to deal with that. I don't want to be I feel like that's penalizing traders for having a great day. And who wants that? I mean, we're trying to have great days. That's what we're out here doing. Literally trying to have like really amazing days and then some, just base hit days, whatever. But every once in a while, knock it out of the park and not be penalized for that. This is an impressive push up, guys. Really wish I had added, but I just wasn't comfortable here, so it is what it is. But man, at scaling into a bigger position just would have been would have been great. But you never know. It's easy to look at this and say, "Wow, I shoulda, coulda, woulda done this." I was really just looking for a little bit of a pullback here, little corrective activity, and then a retrigger. That's where I would have added to my position. But, 200 times 5 accounts here. Let's look at my accounts. You can see 225, 220, 225 times 5 accounts here. 3 XFAs, 2 combines. And we'll see if they just keep running with this. But, again, risk-free position. Just going to let it ride. Because 968 is my target. We got to flip in 9 minutes. That's the only thing that may cause me to like peel one off, I guess, but probably not. I'll probably let this, I want to let this play out. Even if we get some corrective activity here, like let's say we pull all the way back to here, I'm still going to be in profit. Like this would just have to completely reverse for me to be concerned in any way. And there are no signs of that happening. This is clearly bulls in complete control. Beef, GC, he's all over GC. GC 2940 tonight. If we can get the 4 hour trigger, let's take a look at GC real quick while we just let this trade run. Yeah, I like it, man. It's a good one. Inside bar hammer in force. Definitely. After a bit of a pullback here, a little corrective activity, send it higher. I'm a fan. I'm gonna keep an eye on GC. Appreciate you pointing that out. Sometimes I get tunnel vision focused on NQ because that's kind of my go-to product. It's the instrument that I trade most. But always a good idea to keep an eye on metals, oil. If NQ is not doing any, NQ or NES are not doing a whole lot, take a look at GC, SI, PL, HG. That's gold. SI is silver, PL is platinum, HG is copper. And then if you're going to look at oil, take a peek at natural gas, NG. Who mentioned about options being, was it Top Striker? Is he still here? Yes. Um, the other thing is if you're trading options, you've got like really 50, 60, 70 tickers that you're kind of watching, right? You got like the Mag 7, you got I know Sarah's watch list I think is like 60 tickers long. You're looking at a lot of tickers. For futures, I have this tiny list here, right? Of ES, NQ, right here. This short little list, and that's ES, NQ, RTY, right? IWM, YM, the Dow, oil, gold, silver, platinum, copper, Bitcoin, natural gas. I can get rid of this. This is the there's a natural gas rollover, and then the Nikkei. So that's it. And most of these I just keep an eye on. I'm not trading, right? Mostly trading NQ, CL, GC. I've dabbled with copper. I've dabbled with silver, but it's just a short little list to go through. It keeps it nice and simple. I have what the doctors call small brain, so try to keep information overload at a minimum. Okay, good. Yeah, my go-to watch list is right here, which is Apple, AMD, Amazon, ARM, BA, Baba, Coin, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Netflix, Nvidia, Oxy, Tesla, Upstart, and HD. So this is like my very short list that I keep an eye on, and usually I haven't traded options in about probably like 3 months, 4 months. I did trade a little SPY, But for the most part, I've been focused on futures. Flip in 5 minutes. I'll hang out and see how that goes. And then I'm going to hop off and just walk away from the screen and let this trade play. I need a nice solid win in some XFAs. Maybe look for an opportunity to add if I can find something. Really should have added, I try not to play this game where I should have done this, but it's more of a trade review for me. Like, what could I have done differently in this trade? And adding three more right here would have not, would have brought me probably to an 858 average. So still would have been good, even if this pulled back a little bit more. I could have added again. Or if we got a little just corrective activity and then triggered, then I would be able to add another three and be in a 9 micro position. Oh, it's not always about like the woulda, coulda, shoulda. It's like how could I improve as a trader to capitalize on this move that I'm looking for, right? I'm looking for the rev strat on the day. I'm targeting 968, right? So I need to take entries that are moving in that direction that make sense. And I bought this little pullback here. We started to push up. I got in. Now we trigger. Should have really added there. Top striker. Yeah, I mean, I pretty much stream every futures open. So 6 p.m. Eastern. I missed Sunday because of the Super Bowl. I just didn't trade on Monday for no particular reason, but usually I try and stream Sunday through Thursday. I usually stream New York. I mean, Alex and Sarah have that covered, and there are plenty of other streamers out there on YouTube who are covering like the Open. There's Top Step TV. Rips does a live stream, I think 8 a.m. Eastern until Open, and then sometimes he streams the Open. So I feel like that's kind of a crowded space. I prefer trading this time of day. It's easier for me to manage risk. You don't have huge 50, 60 point candles, 1 minute candles, right? A 1 minute candle that's 60 points. It's kind of tough to navigate unless you are sized down, right? Unless you're trading a micro or two. Is it great when you catch the move? Sure. But it's insanely painful when you get the move wrong and you get clapped. Minute 50 until we get a flip. We'll see what happens here. See if we just get a little bit of a pullback on this 2 minute, maybe a retrigger on the 5 up, add a little bit. My goal is to have max position size when it hits target. So I start with a smaller position. Typically would have added, like I mentioned here, I just wasn't feeling it. I think maybe I need to be less discretionary and more rules based, right? If this happens, then add, regardless, right? Not like, well, if you feel like it or if it kind of, whatever, whatever. It's tricky though, because we want to try and trust our gut on some level. But really, at the end of the day, the charts are in charge. You gotta trade the charts. I messed up yesterday by not doing that. I didn't trade the charts. I traded what I wanted to happen and not what I saw. Got the flip coming, 20 seconds. Would like to see it go two up as quickly as possible. We are going to close up We're on gold here. I was wondering why the charts look different. So we are we're closing close to the high. Would like to see this break this high and keep moving. That would be ideal. We'll see if they do it here. And I'll be very comfortable like just leaving this trade and going and doing something else. I mean, I'm pretty comfy anyway, right? In fact, I'll probably push this. I'm going to push my stop up. I don't want to see it the day fall out of force. I want the day to stay in force and at least lock something in. Would not be happy giving back, 220, 240 and stopping out for 46 bucks, but do want to let things play out. Because again, the thing that is guiding me right now is the daily. The daily chart is my higher time frame setup that I'm trading, and I'm looking for that target to hit. So that's just what I'm going to trade. That's what I'm sticking with. That's the game plan. When I deviate from the game plan, when I have a solid game plan like I do right now, and I deviate from it and start messing with my stop or kind of panic selling or getting out of a position earlier, I regret it every time. I would rather stop out for a small win than not stick to my plan. I missed an $8,000, $8 to $12,000 day. Uh, was it? Must have been last week when China announced retaliatory tariffs on the U.S. and the market completely tanked. It was like a 300-point move, and I was in a position. I was up 1,500, and I closed the position instead of waiting for my target. So not only did we get the target that I was looking for, but we also got an extra 100 points. So had I just set, take profit on 80% at my target would have been 8 grand, and then anything extra would have just been gravy on top. And I did not catch that because I didn't stick to the plan. Simple as that. So that's what I'm trying to focus on is put together a game plan, stick to it, live or die by it. It either works or it doesn't. Oh, Laz, do I trade the strat as standalone or do you combine others? I'm like a strat trader. I don't really. Occasionally, I'll put like VWAP on my chart. It's actually on Top Step here, so I'll see, where VWAP is at because it's just a different way of looking at this same market information, right? This is where the most volume was traded, the average price for the majority of this volume. So I think VWAP is a really good indicator. Other than that, I mean, not really. I trade strat setups. I trade broadening formations and time frame continuity. That's what I try and stick with. But there are plenty of people out there who are using, maybe some EMAs or ADR or other kind of indicators to help with additional information. One thing I've been considering is some volume profile stuff where you've got point of control, um, and some other things that are based on volume and where the majority of transactions have occurred. But it is like anything new that we learn, it's going to be time consuming. I'm going to have to put in some work, and I just haven't been willing to make that commitment yet. But I am open to anything that I can add to the strat that will improve my win rate. So Trey, if you already have a different strategy that you're trading and it works, like I mean, throw in time frame continuity and see how see how your strategy works when you're trading in the direction of the trend. Or, pay attention to broadening formations. They're out there. They give you great entry opportunities, and so you trade what works, man. If you find something that works, stick with it. If it's not working, that's a different story. Then you say, all right, let me evaluate. Let me maybe try something different. But you don't want to be hopping from one strategy to another over and over. You can't just trade something for 2 weeks and then say, well, that didn't work. I'm moving on to something else. You got to give it a chance. Yeah, I mean, if market structure and liquidity works for you and that gives you just a little bit more, you get some confluence or a little bit more of an edge, roll with it. If you're using some ICT concept and you find that, wow, I'm noticing strat combos here wherever this setup, this ICT setup is occurring, add it to the toolbox. Yeah, a lot of people struggle with broadening formations. It's just, it's a Pac-Man, man. It's you're just looking for something that looks like this. That's like really it could be ugh. Come on, Tom. Right? You're looking for this. Megaphone. That's why it's called the megaphone pattern, a broadening formation where you get price going like this. Doesn't have to be perfect, but the general gist of it is you are expanding this range. So that's why Sarah uses the doodle method. It's less about like connecting this point to this point and this point to this point. It's more just about the bigger picture. Like what's going on here? Are we expanding? And if you see an outside bar on a higher time frame, it's a broadening formation. That's kind of like the cheat code. If you see an outside bar on an hourly, if you zoom in on a 5 minute or a 15 minute, you'll probably see a broadening formation. Might not be like picture perfect, but it's definitely there. That's the definition of a broadening formation. Top Striker got a quick question about taxes. I made a couple bucks trading, and I'm planning to file taxes my first year filing taxes. Do I have any tax? I have zero tax advice. My tax advice is to call a tax guy. Spend the money. It's not expensive. Pay somebody who is an expert. They can get you the deductions and all of the other benefits versus doing it yourself. You can also get trader tax status if you are, I don't know what the requirements are. It's something I'm looking into myself, but there are advantages. That's the other advantage of trading futures versus options. There are tax benefits, not through prop, but if you're trading on a personal account, you don't trade or you don't pay. I think capital gains pay a lower tax rate. So I'm the type of person who I do a lot of research on my own. I try and figure out as much as I can, but when it comes to things like taxes or legal stuff, um, car problems, like I pay a mechanic. I'm not a car guy. Like I'm a IT kind of tech guy, right? I don't know shit about cars. I don't know shit about taxes. I can go on ChatGPT and get like some basics. All right, I know about some legal stuff, but I'm okay spending the money to pay somebody to do what I'm not good at, right? I'll make my money over here out of this bucket, and I'm willing to, pay somebody to, throw money in their bucket for what they're good at. So that's what I suggest. Like, do some homework, see, I guess get familiar with some of the laws or the rules or what you may not be able to do. But at the end of the day, you could pay somebody, I don't know, 100, 200 bucks or something, and or probably get like a free consultation and at least some basic guidance without spending money. But I never have a problem paying, even if it's like a premium for people who are like top tier. Like the law firm that I use, who I've used since I was in business in '97, they are not cheap. It's probably like 5 or 600 an hour. I don't use them for silly stuff, but I've been in the domain business. I've gotten cease and desists, and we want your domain. We have a trademark on this, that, and the other thing, and I just forward it over to them, and they send a amazing ass email in response, and then I never hear back from them. Like I own automowers.com, and Husqvarna, I guess, has a trademark on that. They were like, we have a trademark. Give us your domain. And I was like, yeah, I don't think so. And I sent it to my attorney, and she responded. And, that I haven't heard back from them. So willing to pay a little extra sometimes just to have that, like, be very confident in what I'm doing. Like, you don't really want to mess around with tax stuff or legal stuff in some cases, or for me, even car stuff. Like, I could change my oil probably, and then that's about it. Like, I change filters. Uh, you know, I'm a great at vacuuming it. So, see how far this pulls back here. Hopefully not too much more. I'm gonna throw a fib. This is the other thing I've been experimenting with, little fib to see how far we've pulled back. Usually I just care about this 50%, like as long as this pullback stays above the 50% mark. And again, this is new. This is not a strat thing. This is the Tom experimenting with improving my trading. So I'll throw it up here. I'll just keep an eye on it. I'm not going to take any trades off of it. I have occasionally, just to see how those trades worked out in combines, not in a funded account. And yeah, like there's a healthy pullback, and then there's pulling back way too far. That's where things start to look like, yeah, this isn't working. But I'm gonna leave this. If I stop out, I stop out. I'm really looking for an opportunity to add to this. So little corrective activity, and then some sign of buyers stepping back up. I'll just add, maybe micro two or three. And this is why I wish, really, just in summary, this is why I wish I had a little bit of a bigger position here, because I could have taken a couple off, right? I would have taken some off on this little push up, even if it was just one, two, three, whatever, and then reloaded on a pullback. But at least locked in some profit, like guaranteed some profit, and had a stop that was in profit. One of the things that I've struggled with is not taking profit quick enough. It's, where is it on here? All my problem areas. Lock in gains quicker. All my trade plans and rules right here highlighted because I discussed it the other day. Lock in gains quicker. So, you know, be happy with the solid win. Don't get too greedy. Hopefully, I'm not going to regret holding this. If I do, then again, that's just another lesson that the market has delivered, reminding me to, that there's a reason I have some of these rules laid out. Got a 15-minute flip here in 40 seconds or so. But I think I'm going to hop off, guys. We got an inside hour, inside 30. I'm not concerned with this pullback yet. It could start to, this is kind of how things, I think, played out last night, where we got a little bit of a push and then sort of faded. But I'm looking for the daily setup to trigger, so I'm going to give it the rest of this. We got 21 hours and 45 minutes left in the daily candle for it to get there. We do have news tomorrow, so unlikely I would hold through that. But I'm willing to sit on this overnight, check back on the flip at 10 p.m. Eastern, maybe peek in before London opens, and just kind of let it go. Right. My plan is to hold to 968, and that's what I'm gonna do. Right. Good or bad, stop out or not, follow the plan. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I appreciate you all being here. I love doing this. If you guys have any questions or problems, or you are struggling, feel free to DM me. I'm always available. Happy to answer any questions, or just listen if you need to vent and bitch because you did something stupid. Or you can post in the funded chat channel in the Discord. And yeah, I will see you guys around. Thanks for being here.